Imagine for a moment that the very qualities that make you brilliant is sharp insight, your ability to see the world differently, your gift for understanding complex ideas are also the very qualities that set you apart from the rest of society. These gifts, though empowering, often come with a heavy price. You may find yourself feeling isolated, misunderstood, or disconnected, unable to relate to those around you. It's as if your mind operates on a frequency that the world around you simply cannot tune into. Throughout history, we have seen countless individuals who, like you, saw the world differently. Think of the great minds, the ones who dared to question, to challenge, to think beyond what was accepted. The ones who, instead of fitting in with society's norms, carved out their own paths. Socrates, for instance, was condemned not for being wrong, but for daring to ask questions that others weren't ready to answer. Galileo was placed under house arrest, not for being mistaken, but for offering a truth that defied the beliefs of the day. Even Nietzsche, whose writings now form the foundation of modern philosophy, spent much of his life isolated and misunderstood. Why do these things happen? Why do those who think differently, those who push the boundaries of knowledge, face such resistance? The answer is simple. Intelligence, true intelligence, is disruptive. It does not fit within the neat boxes that society has built for us. It challenges the comfortable illusions people cling to. It exposes the contradictions in systems that thrive on order and predictability. Now, ask yourself this. Have you ever felt like your conversations go deeper than most people can handle? Have you ever been frustrated by the shallow, repetitive discussions that seem to dominate your social circle? Or perhaps you notice patterns, connections, or hypocrisies that others simply ignore. If so, you are experiencing what many thinkers have referred to as the burden of awareness. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, once said, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." Think about that for a moment. Could it be that your sense of disconnection is not because there is something wrong with you, but because your mind operates on a different frequency than the world around you? This isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. Modern psychology has studied this phenomenon, especially in gifted individuals. Research shows that their challenges are not intellectual, but social and emotional. Being too aware of the world can make you more sensitive to injustice, more frustrated with inefficiency, and more restless in environments where conformity is rewarded over originality. It can make you feel like an outsider, a misfit in a world that values predictability over complexity. We've all heard the saying, "It's easier to conform than to stand out." But what happens when your intelligence makes it impossible to conform? What if your questions disrupt the system? Suddenly, you might find yourself labeled as difficult, arrogant, or even antisocial. The world, it seems, is not always ready for those who think differently. But here's where the story takes an interesting turn. Despite this resistance, society depends on these very individuals. Society resists those who challenge its stability, but without them, it cannot evolve. The paradox is clear. The very people society labels as outcasts are often the ones who propel it forward. This is the duality of being too smart for society. On one hand, you feel misunderstood, disconnected, and frustrated. On the other, you hold the potential to change the world, just like those who came before you. So, the real question is not whether you're too smart for society, but how you can turn that disconnection into your greatest strength. Let's pause for a moment and consider the remarkable historical figures who were once alienated, criticized, and even ostracized for their groundbreaking ideas. Individuals whose brilliance was not recognized in their time, but whose contributions shaped the very fabric of human history. Take, for instance, the philosopher Socrates. In ancient Athens, he was considered a disruptor of the established order. Socrates didn't accept the conventional wisdom of his time. Instead, he asked questions that challenged societal norms, often exposing uncomfortable truths. His method, the Socratic method, was designed not to provide answers but to force others to think critically about their assumptions. But the very questioning that made him a brilliant mind also made him a target. Eventually, Socrates was condemned to death for corrupting the youth and challenging the gods of Athens. His fate was sealed not because he was wrong, but because he had the courage to think differently. Then there is Galileo Galilei, the Italian scientist who, in the 16th century, made discoveries that contradicted the teachings of the Church. Galileo's observations, particularly his support for the heliocentric model of the solar system, went against the long-held belief that the Earth was the center of the universe. His findings were revolutionary, but they didn't align with the religious dogmas of the time. Galileo was placed under house arrest for the latter part of his life, not because his science was incorrect, but because it was perceived as a threat to the established order. His brilliance, once dismissed, is now the foundation of modern astronomy. But in his own time, he was a man in isolation, fighting against an institution that couldn't bear the weight of his truth. And what about Friedrich Nietzsche, a towering figure in philosophy? Nietzsche spent much of his life in emotional turmoil and social isolation. His radical ideas, such as the concept of the Übermensch and the declaration that God is dead, were too avant-garde for the society of his day. His works were misinterpreted and vilified, and Nietzsche himself was often rejected by his peers. By the time of his mental collapse in 1889, his philosophy had gained little traction. Yet today, Nietzsche is considered one of the most influential philosophers in Western thought, his work inspiring movements in existentialism, postmodernism, and beyond. These examples highlight a disturbing yet undeniable pattern. Those who dared to think beyond the ordinary often paid a heavy price for their brilliance, but they also paved the way for the next generation of thinkers, artists, and innovators. Their ideas, once rejected, eventually became the pillars upon which modern society stands. Their struggles, though tragic, remind us that true intelligence, whether in philosophy, science, or the arts, often emerges from the most unlikely places. And it is precisely those who challenge the status quo who change the course of history. This brings us to the larger question: why does this resistance to intelligence and change persist across time? Why are visionaries so often misunderstood or persecuted? The answer lies in the very nature of intelligence. True intelligence disrupts. It doesn't fit into neat categories or conform to societal expectations. It sees the world for what it truly is and asks uncomfortable questions that most people are not ready to answer. As a result, intelligent individuals often find themselves alone, rejected by a world that can't yet understand them. But it is in this loneliness, this isolation, that true creativity and change are often born. The genius who is too smart for society is not simply a misfit. They are a harbinger of a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing the world. They may not be accepted in their time, but history will eventually catch up to them, as it did with Socrates, Galileo, and Nietzsche. This paradox, the combination of isolation and eventual recognition, raises an important question for those who feel out of place in today's world. Are you, too, being misunderstood? Could it be that your intelligence, the very thing that sets you apart, is not just a burden but a calling? The burden of awareness is a concept that many intelligent individuals can relate to, but it's also something that many would rather not face. It's the feeling that your mind operates on a different wavelength than those around you. It's the realization that while the world is preoccupied with surface-level concerns, you are acutely aware of the deeper, often troubling realities beneath it all. The more you see, the harder it becomes to ignore the contradictions, the injustices, and the inadequacies that others seem content to overlook. This awareness can be both a gift and a curse, but it is also what separates you from the crowd. Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, put it succinctly: loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. The deeper your thoughts, the harder it becomes to find someone who can truly understand you. In a society that often values conformity and simplicity, being highly aware can make you feel like a stranger in your own world. This feeling of disconnection isn't just about intellectual differences, it also touches on emotional and social levels. For those with heightened sensitivity, whether intellectual or emotional, life can feel overwhelmingly intense. You might find that everyday conversations, which seem trivial to others, drain you of energy. Social interactions that should feel natural may feel forced or hollow. Your empathy can make you acutely aware of the suffering around you, whether it's in the form of social injustices, the pain of those close to you, or even the broader existential concerns of the world. It's not just that you see more, it's that you feel more. This heightened perception, while offering a unique view of the world, can make the ordinary feel unbearable. The noise of the world can become deafening, the superficiality of conversations, the predictability of social norms, and the banality of daily routines can all seem excruciatingly dull and exhausting. The world seems to move at a different pace than your mind, and in many ways, it feels like the world isn't keeping up. This constant sense of being out of sync can be emotionally taxing. Many gifted individuals feel like they are living in a world where their ideas and emotions are in perpetual conflict with the structures around them. They might feel as though they are speaking a language no one else can understand. Or perhaps they feel like an outsider in a society that rewards predictability over originality. It's as if their inner world is vibrant and full of depth, while the external world is flat and devoid of meaning. Yet, in this struggle lies an important lesson. The burden of awareness isn't something to be overcome or escaped. It's something to be embraced. It's the key to understanding why you often feel disconnected and why, at times, your mind seems to be at odds with the world. Embracing this awareness can lead to personal growth, but it also requires a shift in how you view the world around you. It calls for the courage to live authentically, to speak truths that others may not be ready to hear, and to confront the deeper aspects of life that most people shy away from. The real challenge, then, is not to silence this awareness, but to learn how to use it as a source of strength. How do you turn the pain of disconnection into a tool for creation and transformation? How can you take the weight of your awareness and channel it into something meaningful, something that not only benefits you, but also the world around you? This isn't an easy task. It requires the kind of emotional resilience that many don't have to cultivate. But it is through this very burden, this sense of being too smart for the world, that you begin to realize the true purpose of your intelligence. It's not just about accumulating knowledge or understanding the world in greater depth. It's about using that awareness to challenge the status quo, to question the systems that no longer serve us, and to create a new path forward. In the next part, we'll explore how heightened intelligence and emotional sensitivity often go hand in hand, and how this combination, though difficult to navigate, can become a powerful source of strength. We'll also discuss how this awareness can be harnessed for growth, and how it can help you find purpose in a world that sometimes feels alien. Society, by its very nature, thrives on order, predictability, and conformity. It's built on the foundation of norms, structures, and systems that ensure stability and functioning. From schools to workplaces, social circles to political systems, most institutions reward those who can follow the rules, fit the mold, and adapt without question. It's a world that values efficiency, productivity, and stability above all else, and those who challenge these norms are often seen as disruptive or problematic. But here's where the tension begins. What happens when you can't fit the mold? What happens when your intelligence, your ability to think critically, makes you incapable of blind conformity? What happens when your mind, constantly questioning and analyzing, disrupts the system? The answer is often simple. You become a threat. It's not that society has a problem with intelligence per se. No, it's the disruption that comes with it. Intelligent individuals, particularly those who think outside the box, are often seen as a threat to the stability of the systems that society has put in place. Your questions, your refusal to accept things as they are, your ability to see beyond the surface, these qualities challenge the very fabric of societal order. They shine a light on the flaws, the contradictions, and the injustices that many would rather ignore. Take, for example, the life of Albert Einstein. He was an extraordinary mind, a genius who fundamentally altered our understanding of physics. But as a child, he often felt out of place in school. He was frustrated by teachers who couldn't answer his questions, who dismissed his curiosity as irrelevant or unnecessary. Later in life, when he began developing his theory of relativity, many in the scientific community rejected his ideas because they were so radically different from the accepted views of the time. Einstein was labeled as difficult and unconventional, and many of his contemporaries resisted his ideas because they challenged the established order of scientific thought. Einstein's experience is not unique. Throughout history, the most brilliant minds have faced opposition, not because their ideas were wrong, but because they were uncomfortable. The French philosopher Voltaire understood this well. He once said, "Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities." This statement captures the heart of the struggle. Those who can challenge society's comfort and expose its contradictions are often the ones who are vilified, even when their ideas hold the key to progress. Yet, despite the resistance, history shows that it is these very individuals, those who are unwilling to accept things as they are, who question, who push boundaries, who eventually bring about the greatest advancements. Think of the civil rights movement, for instance, or the fight for gender equality. It was not the majority who led these changes, but the few who dared to defy the norms and demand a better world. But herein lies the painful irony. Society needs these individuals, even as it resists them. Without the outliers, the visionaries, the ones who challenge the status quo, society cannot evolve. Think about it. If no one ever asked why, if no one ever dared to question the way things are, humanity would remain stagnant. It is the thinkers, the dreamers, and the rebels who drive progress. But at the same time, their ideas are often rejected at first, and they are left to face the emotional cost of their isolation. This is the paradox of being too smart for society. Society resists those who challenge its stability, yet it cannot thrive without them. The very people who are isolated, ridiculed, and misunderstood are the ones who move society forward. The question then becomes not how to fit in, but how to embrace your difference and use it to create change. In the next part, we will explore the emotional and social costs of being misunderstood, as well as how those who think deeply and feel intensely can transform these struggles into sources of strength. We'll look at how heightened intelligence often comes with a sensitivity that makes the world feel both more complex and more painful, and how that sensitivity can ultimately be your greatest asset. As we've seen, the tension between the individual and society is a complex and paradoxical one. Society demands conformity, stability, and predictability, but it also depends on those who disrupt its order, those who push the boundaries of what is known and accepted. This paradox is one that intelligent individuals often find themselves in. Society resists them, yet cannot function without them. At first glance, it seems almost cruel. Society labels those who think differently as troublemakers, rebels, or misfits. They are seen as outcasts, often misunderstood and ridiculed. Yet, without these very individuals, those who see beyond the surface, those who ask questions that make others uncomfortable, society would stagnate. Take, for example, the role of visionaries throughout history. Think of Nikola Tesla, the brilliant inventor who revolutionized the world with his contributions to electrical engineering. Tesla's ideas were too advanced for his time. Many of his inventions were dismissed as impractical or fantastical, and he spent much of his life in financial ruin, largely ignored by the mainstream scientific community. Yet today, we recognize that his work laid the foundation for much of modern technology. The world didn't understand Tesla's brilliance when it was first revealed, but now it is undeniable. His innovations have had a lasting impact, shaping the world as we know it. Similarly, consider Marie Curie, the pioneering scientist who discovered radioactivity. Her groundbreaking work earned her 2 Nobel Prizes, but she faced tremendous opposition, particularly because she was a woman in a male-dominated field. Many tried to diminish her accomplishments, questioning her methods and motives. Yet, like Tesla, she persisted, and her work ultimately transformed our understanding of science and medicine. She was a true outlier, an individual whose brilliance went largely unrecognized in her time, but whose contributions would change the world forever. These examples are not isolated. Time and time again, history reveals a pattern. Those who are considered too smart for society are often the very people who ultimately shape its future. Society may resist their ideas, rejecting them as too radical or disruptive, but without them, it would be stuck in a cycle of stagnation. It is these individuals, the ones who think differently, who challenge the norms, who dare to ask why, who push humanity forward. The paradox here is undeniable. Society resists change, yet it depends on those who are willing to challenge the status quo. The irony is that the very people who are ostracized for their brilliance are the ones whose ideas and innovations ultimately reshape the world. Without them, society would be left to dwell in its comfortable, predictable routines, never questioning the limits of what is possible. But this realization leads to an important question. How do you reconcile the pain of being misunderstood with the knowledge that your difference is necessary for progress? How do you embrace your role as an outlier, knowing that your intelligence, though not always recognized in your time, will eventually prove to be the key to unlocking new possibilities? The answer lies in the understanding that being an outlier is not a curse, it is a responsibility. It is the responsibility to carry the weight of your vision and to use it to challenge the limitations of the present. It is the responsibility to persist, even when the world refuses to understand. Your intelligence is not a burden, it is a tool, a gift, and a call to action. In the next part, we will delve deeper into the emotional and psychological costs of being an outlier. we will explore how the isolation, frustration, and misunderstandings that come with being too smart for society can be transformed into a source of strength and personal growth. We will look at how embracing your uniqueness can become a powerful force for change, not only in your own life, but in the world around you. The emotional toll of being too smart for society is a heavy one, and it's something that many gifted individuals can relate to. The sense of isolation that comes from being misunderstood is not just a passing feeling, it's often a deep, recurring struggle. While society may place a high value on intellectual achievement, it doesn't always know how to handle those who possess it. For the highly intelligent, their sensitivity to the world around them often becomes their greatest challenge. You might find that while others are content with the superficialities of life, you cannot ignore the deeper issues that lie beneath the surface. Where others see simplicity, you see complexity. Where others accept things as they are, you can't help but question why things are the way they are, and if they could be better. This heightened awareness of the world's imperfections often leads to frustration, as it becomes harder to connect with others who simply don't share your perspective. The frustration isn't just intellectual, it's emotional. You may feel an acute sense of disconnection, as if there's an invisible barrier between you and the rest of society. You're aware of things others aren't: hypocrisy, injustice, ignorance, and it weighs heavily on you. While the world moves in one direction, you feel as if you are stuck, unable to move forward because the path everyone else is following doesn't make sense to you. The result of this emotional and intellectual dissonance is often loneliness. Carl Jung's idea that loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you resonates deeply with anyone who has ever felt isolated due to their intellectual or emotional sensitivity. There are moments when it feels as though your thoughts are too complex, too different to be understood by those around you, and so you retreat into silence, not because you want to, but because it's easier than trying to explain yourself to a world that might never get it. This isolation can also give rise to deep emotional burdens. Many highly intelligent individuals carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, feeling responsible for seeing the problems no one else notices, feeling compelled to fix the things that others overlook. But this burden, when not addressed, can lead to emotional exhaustion. The constant mental and emotional strain of living in a world that doesn't seem to value depth or complexity can lead to feelings of frustration, depression, and even self. But there is another side to this struggle. The very qualities that make you feel alienated, your sensitivity, your awareness, your intelligence, are also the qualities that can lead to profound personal growth. As you confront the emotional cost of being an outlier, you also begin to realize that the depth of your experience is not a curse, but a source of strength. The emotional sensitivity you feel allows you to empathize deeply with others. It makes you more attuned to the needs of the world and to the potential for change. This is where the real opportunity lies. Rather than letting your awareness of the world's flaws consume you, you can choose to use it as a springboard for action. Rather than retreating into isolation, you can channel your emotional depth into creating change, into shaping the world in a way that reflects your vision. Your awareness of the world's imperfections doesn't have to be a source of pain. It can be the catalyst for transformation. The key, however, is in finding a way to balance your intellectual and emotional gifts with your place in the world. This balance is crucial, for without it, your intelligence could become a source of frustration rather than inspiration. In the next part, we will explore how emotional sensitivity and intelligence can be harnessed as a source of strength, allowing you to create, lead, and connect with others in a meaningful way. We'll look at the psychological tools that can help you cope with the emotional toll of being too smart, and how you can turn your perceived burden into a powerful asset. For those who think deeply and feel intensely, intelligence and emotional sensitivity often walk hand in hand. This combination, while offering profound insights and creative vision, can also make life feel like a constant balancing act. The heightened sensitivity to the world around you means that you experience emotions and perceptions with greater intensity. Sounds may feel louder, social interactions more draining, and injustices more painful. This is not a weakness, it is the manifestation of heightened awareness, the result of a mind that cannot simply skim the surface of life, but must dive deep into its complexities. While this sensitivity is often a source of frustration, it can also be your greatest strength. It allows you to see connections and patterns that others miss. It helps you empathize more deeply with others, understand their pain, and feel their joy. But this emotional depth can also make ordinary life feel unbearable. Conversations that others find stimulating may leave you drained. Shallow interactions can feel like a waste of time, and environments that reward conformity can feel suffocating. It's not that you don't want to connect with others, it's just that you need something more, something deeper, in order to truly engage. Kazimierz Dabrowski, a psychologist known for his work on giftedness, studied what he called overexcitabilities. These are heightened sensitivities that gifted individuals often experience in their emotions, intellect, and physical senses. For those with high intellectual and emotional sensitivity, every experience can feel more intense. A song on the radio might evoke an emotional response that lingers long after the song has ended. A simple conversation might reveal layers of meaning that others don't notice. And injustices, whether in the world or in personal relationships, can feel overwhelming, almost unbearable. This heightened sensitivity is not something that can be easily managed or suppressed. For many intelligent individuals, the world can seem like a storm of overwhelming stimuli. They see the world as complex, layered with meaning and contradictions, and the constant exposure to this complexity can be exhausting. You may find that your mind is constantly analyzing, deconstructing, and reevaluating everything around you. This mental activity, though necessary for innovation and progress, can lead to a sense of mental fatigue, where the mind feels perpetually on overdrive. Yet, it is this very intensity that can also fuel your creativity. The depth of your perception allows you to see possibilities and solutions that others cannot. It gives you the ability to think outside the box, to challenge the assumptions that others accept without question. But this creative potential comes with a cost. It requires energy, focus, and emotional resilience to navigate the complexities of your inner world while simultaneously engaging with the outer world. In this sense, intelligence and sensitivity are like a double-edged sword. On the one hand, they allow you to access a level of understanding and insight that most people cannot fathom. On the other hand, they make it difficult to relate to a world that often prizes efficiency, predictability, and surface-level interactions. This emotional and intellectual intensity can lead to feelings of frustration, loneliness, and exhaustion. It can make you feel as though you are constantly swimming against the current of societal norms, never quite able to find a place where you truly fit. But rather than viewing this sensitivity as a burden, it can be helpful to recognize it as a powerful tool for personal growth and social change. Your ability to perceive the world more deeply can enable you to identify issues, challenges, and opportunities that others might overlook. It allows you to connect with others on a level that is more meaningful and authentic, and it gives you the insight needed to bring about real change in the world. In the next part, we'll discuss how to embrace your intelligence and sensitivity without feeling overwhelmed. We'll explore ways to protect your energy, create boundaries, and channel your unique abilities into meaningful action. It's time to learn how to turn the perceived burden of being too smart into your greatest source of power, growth, and impact. There is a deep, often painful divide between the world of the deep thinker and the world of society at large. This disconnect is a theme that runs throughout the lives of many brilliant and sensitive individuals, and it is one that can be difficult to navigate. While society values efficiency, productivity, and predictability, the deep thinker craves depth, originality, and authenticity. The result is a feeling of alienation, an ever-present sense that you don't quite belong. Social interactions that are based on superficial topics or repetitive discussions can feel draining, even suffocating. Small talk, often a staple of everyday life, may seem like an insurmountable obstacle. When you're constantly questioning and analyzing the world around you, it can feel almost impossible to engage in conversations that don't spark meaningful insight or challenge your perceptions. For the deep thinker, the mundane chatter that surrounds them may feel empty, leaving them with a sense of disconnection. The frustration that comes with this disconnect isn't just intellectual, it's emotional as well. You may find yourself longing for conversations that go beyond the surface, wishing for interactions that stimulate your mind and challenge your assumptions. You crave depth not just in your thoughts, but in your relationships. You want to connect with others who see the world as you do, who are willing to engage in discussions that go beyond the superficial and explore the complexities of life. But often, those around you are content with the surface, with the simple, easy conversations that don't demand much of them. This constant disconnect can be emotionally exhausting. It can lead to feelings of loneliness, as you find yourself surrounded by people who simply don't understand your perspective. Your awareness of the world's problems, the contradictions you see, the injustices you feel, a lot of this can leave you feeling isolated in a world that seems too shallow to appreciate your depth. And this isolation, when left unchecked, can lead to a profound sense of alienation. You may wonder if there is anyone out there who truly gets you, who can engage with your ideas, who can share in your emotional depth. Yet, it is in this very frustration that the possibility for change lies. The disconnect you feel is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a reflection of the fact that you are living in a world that often doesn't value the qualities you possess. Society, as it is currently structured, doesn't know how to make room for those who think and feel deeply. It rewards conformity and routine, and it punishes those who challenge the status quo. But the reality is that the world is changing, and the qualities that once made you feel out of place may one day be the very qualities that the world needs. While it's true that society often feels alienating to the deep thinker, it's important to recognize that you have a role to play in reshaping that world. The very awareness that sets you apart, your ability to see connections, your refusal to accept the status quo, your emotional sensitivity is what makes you capable of creating change. You might feel like a misfit in a world that doesn't appreciate your depth, but that depth is exactly what can transform that world. In the next part, we will explore the emotional and intellectual cost of being misunderstood, and how this misalignment with society can lead to profound feelings of loneliness. But more importantly, we will discuss how you can turn this loneliness into strength, using your unique abilities to inspire, lead, and make a lasting impact. The key is to embrace your differences and use them to carve out a space in a world that might not yet understand your value. Being misunderstood is perhaps one of the most painful experiences for those who think deeply and feel intensely. It's a paradox many highly intelligent and sensitive individuals know all too well. You possess ideas, insights, and emotions that run deep, far deeper than what most people can comprehend. But more often than not, when you share these thoughts, you are met with blank stares, superficial responses, or outright dismissal. The disconnect between your inner world and the world around you becomes a source of constant frustration. The struggle of being misunderstood is not just about intellectual differences, it goes beyond that. It's about the emotional weight that comes with knowing that your deepest truths cannot be easily communicated. Have you ever shared an idea or a dream with someone, only to be met with a response that feels hollow or inadequate? Have you ever tried to explain a concept that seems so obvious to you, yet no one else seems to grasp its significance? Or perhaps you've found yourself caught in a conversation where your thoughts are dismissed as too complex or irrelevant. This gap between your perception and the way others see the world can create an overwhelming sense of isolation. Søren Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher, once wrote, "People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought which they seldom use." This quote strikes at the heart of the issue. Many people, though they have the freedom to speak, choose not to engage in deep, critical thinking. They settle for shallow understanding, rarely questioning the assumptions that govern their lives. For the person who is constantly questioning, analyzing, and seeking the deeper meaning in everything, this societal preference for simplicity can feel like a constant barrier. This disconnection can lead to feelings of loneliness and frustration. It's not that you want to be different, it's just that you are. Your mind works differently, your emotions resonate more deeply, and your awareness of the world's complexities makes you see things others miss. But rather than being celebrated for these differences, you often find yourself rejected or overlooked. You might feel like an alien in your own social circles, unable to communicate the depth of what you feel and think. This emotional and intellectual isolation can be one of the most difficult aspects of being too smart for society. Yet, despite this struggle, there is an undeniable truth. Being misunderstood is often a sign that you are on the right path. Those who think deeply and see the world through a different lens have always faced resistance. From the days of Socrates and Galileo to the modern era, history is filled with examples of great minds who were misunderstood in their time. But it was precisely because they were different, because they saw the world in a way that others could not, that they were able to bring about the greatest advancements in human history. So, while it may feel discouraging to be misunderstood, it's important to remember that this struggle is part of the journey of intellectual and emotional growth. It's a sign that you are not conforming to the limitations of the present, but rather challenging those limitations and creating something new. Being misunderstood is not a sign of failure, is often the first step in changing the world. In the next part, we will explore the idea of conformity versus authenticity. We will discuss how the pressure to conform to societal norms can erode your sense of self, and how embracing your true nature, even when it feels uncomfortable, is the key to finding fulfillment and purpose. We'll also examine how living authentically can help you connect with others who are on a similar journey, and how you can build a life that reflects your deepest values rather than the expectations of others. The battle between conformity and authenticity is one that many intelligent and sensitive individuals face. It's a constant struggle between fitting in with the expectations of society and staying true to your own values, beliefs, and insights. Society rewards those who conform, those who follow the rules, and those who adapt without question. It celebrates the ability to fit into predefined molds, whether that's in the workplace, in relationships, or in social circles. To question, to deviate, or to challenge these norms is often seen as a threat, a sign of rebellion, or even a sign of arrogance. But for the deep thinker, conformity feels suffocating. You may find yourself caught in situations where your intellectual or emotional needs are not met, where your deeper questions are not answered, and where your mind is left to wander in search of meaning that the world around you is simply not willing to provide. It's not that you want to be different for the sake of it, it's just that you are different. Your thoughts don't fit into the boxes society has created, and your emotions don't conform to the expectations set by the people around you. The pressure to conform can be overwhelming. It's easy to feel like an outsider, to wonder if you're doing something wrong by thinking differently or feeling more intensely than others. The fear of rejection, the fear of being labeled as difficult or strange, can be paralyzing. You might feel torn between embracing your true self and fitting in with a society that doesn't understand or value the complexity of your thoughts and feelings. But here's the catch. When you sacrifice your authenticity to conform to societal norms, you begin to lose yourself. You lose the very qualities that make you unique, that give you your creative edge and your ability to see the world through a different lens. By trying to fit into a world that isn't designed for you, you risk becoming someone you're not, someone who simply goes through the motions, living a life that doesn't resonate with your deepest values. This is the paradox of authenticity. It's not always easy, and it's often uncomfortable. To live authentically means to embrace your differences, to stop pretending to be something you're not, and to stop trying to fit into a mold that doesn't fit you. It means owning your intellect, your sensitivity, and your vision for the world, even when it feels like you're the only one who sees it. But living authentically is also the key to finding fulfillment. When you allow yourself to be true to who you are, when you stop pretending to fit in, you unlock your full potential. You begin to see opportunities and possibilities that others miss, and you start to create a life that is meaningful and aligned with your deepest purpose. There is strength in authenticity, even if it means standing alone. As the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." When you know your true purpose, when you are guided by your own inner vision, you gain the resilience to face the challenges of living in a world that may not always understand or appreciate you. In the next part, we will explore how embracing your authenticity, despite the challenges it may bring, can become your greatest source of strength. We'll look at how living in alignment with your true self can lead to a sense of peace and fulfillment, and how it can help you build deeper, more meaningful connections with others who share your vision. As we've seen, being too smart for society is not a curse, it is, in fact, a profound gift. Those who think deeply and question the world around them are often the ones who bring about the most significant changes in history. However, the emotional and intellectual struggles that come with this gift are real and challenging. The frustration of feeling disconnected, the loneliness of being misunderstood, and the constant tension between conformity and authenticity are all part of the journey for the deep thinker. But here's the essential truth. Your intelligence and sensitivity, though burdensome at times, are the very qualities that can shape the future. The ability to see beyond the surface, to understand the deeper layers of reality, to ask questions that no one else is asking. These qualities are what drive human progress. Throughout history, the greatest advancements have often come from those who were willing to think differently. Think of the scientific revolution, where figures like Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin redefined the way we understand the natural world. These men were not simply brilliant, they were visionaries who saw beyond the established beliefs of their time. They questioned assumptions that had been accepted for centuries, and in doing so, they revolutionized science. The same can be said for other areas of human progress. The civil rights movement in the United States, for example, was driven by individuals who saw a world that was unjust and were unwilling to accept it as it was. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and countless others fought for equality and justice, even when their ideas were rejected by the majority. It was their vision, their intelligence, and their willingness to challenge the status quo that ultimately brought about change. These examples, from science to social justice, show us that progress is not made by those who simply accept things as they are. It is made by those who question, who challenge, who see the potential for something better. Your intelligence or ability to see the world differently places you in the same lineage as these great thinkers and visionaries. The world needs people like you to question, to imagine, and to create new possibilities. But it's not just about intellectual brilliance, it's about vision. The kind of intelligence that can change the world is not just about understanding facts or solving problems, it's about seeing things as they could be, not just as they are. It's about imagining a future that doesn't yet exist and having the courage to pursue that vision, even when others doubt you. It's about using your intelligence and sensitivity to identify the problems in the world and work towards solutions that others can't yet see. This is where the real opportunity lies, in using your intelligence to make a difference, to create new possibilities, and to drive progress. It's about taking the struggles you've faced, the loneliness, the misunderstandings, the frustration, and turning them into fuel for your mission. Instead of seeing your intelligence as a burden, you can begin to see it as a tool for change, a way to contribute to a world that desperately needs new ideas and fresh perspectives. In the next part, we'll delve deeper into the emotional and psychological cost of being misunderstood, but we'll also discuss how those very challenges can become sources of strength. We will look at how to channel your intelligence into meaningful action, how to use your awareness of the world's flaws to inspire change, and how to transform your perceived burdens into your greatest gifts. Loneliness is often seen as a negative experience, something to avoid at all costs. But for those who are deeply intelligent and emotionally sensitive, loneliness can be a paradoxical gift. It is in loneliness that many visionaries and leaders have found the space to reflect, to create, and to lead. The isolation that comes from being too smart for society is not just a burden, it is also the crucible in which leadership is forged. While it may seem counterintuitive, loneliness is often the price one pays for thinking differently. The deep thinker, the innovator, and the visionary often find themselves walking a path that is not only different from those around them, but also a path that few are willing to walk. This isolation, whether intellectual, emotional, or social, can be deeply painful. But it is also in this isolation that the seeds of leadership are planted. The paradox lies in the fact that this very loneliness is often the condition that allows the visionary to develop the clarity, strength, and insight needed to lead. Think about some of the most influential leaders in history. Figures like Mahatma Gandhi, Albert Einstein, and even Winston Churchill often faced tremendous loneliness. Gandhi spent long years in solitude, reflecting on the path to non-violent resistance. Einstein, despite his groundbreaking work in physics, often found himself isolated and misunderstood, both socially and professionally. Churchill, during the darkest days of World War II, faced a tremendous sense of isolation as he fought to rally his country against overwhelming odds. But in each of these examples, their loneliness served as a powerful tool. It allowed them to reflect on their vision without the distractions of societal pressure. It gave them the space to develop ideas and solutions that would eventually change the course of history. They were able to channel their isolation into a greater purpose that was rooted not in fitting in with the world but in changing it. Loneliness, in this sense, becomes a paradoxical gift. It's a gift that allows for deep reflection, a gift that fuels creativity, and a gift that shapes leadership. The key is understanding that your loneliness does not define you, it refines you. It helps you clarify your purpose and gives you the strength to continue on a path that others may not understand. However, the cost of loneliness is high. It often comes with emotional pain, feelings of rejection, and moments of doubt. But this pain is not an indication of failure. It is a sign of your capacity to create something new. Just as a diamond is formed under immense pressure, your vision and leadership are often forged in the fire of isolation. In the next part, we will explore how to embrace this paradox, how to turn loneliness into a source of strength and inspiration. We will look at how the isolated thinker can find meaning and connection, how to build resilience and determination in the face of adversity, and how to use that emotional strength to lead others toward a new vision of what is possible. The journey may be lonely at times, but it is through this loneliness that true leaders find their voice and their purpose. To be a visionary is to be someone who sees the world not just as it is, but as it could be. Visionaries do not accept the status quo. They challenge it, they question it, and they imagine a future that has yet to be realized. But with this gift of vision comes a great responsibility. Visionaries are often the ones who are misunderstood, the ones who are seen as too smart for the world around them, the ones who walk a path that others cannot yet see. And while this can be isolating and painful, it is also the source of immense power. For many visionaries, the road is a solitary one. They are ahead of their time, and society is often not ready to embrace their ideas. But rather than viewing this isolation as a weakness, it is crucial to recognize it as a sign of your potential. Being misunderstood is not a failure, is often a mark of greatness. History is filled with individuals whose ideas were considered impossible, impractical, or even dangerous in their time, but who, in the end, changed the world. Consider the example of Leonardo da Vinci. Da Vinci was not just an artist, he was a visionary who saw connections between science, art, engineering, and anatomy that others couldn't. His ideas for machines, flying devices, and inventions were centuries ahead of his time. Yet, for much of his life, he struggled to have his ideas understood or accepted. His genius was recognized, but only after his death. In his time, he was seen as an eccentric, an outlier, someone whose ideas were too complex for the world around him to grasp. In a similar vein, Nikola Tesla was dismissed as mad for his groundbreaking ideas on electricity and wireless communication. He spent much of his life in financial ruin, isolated from the very scientific community that could have celebrated his contributions. But today, we recognize Tesla as one of the greatest minds of the 20th century. His inventions laying the foundation for modern electrical systems. These examples show us that being a visionary often means walking alone. It means facing rejection, misunderstanding, and isolation, but it also means having the courage to persist. It means not backing down from the belief that the world can be better, even when others don't see it. This is where the role of the visionary becomes crucial. It is not just about seeing the future, it is about shaping it. It is about taking the loneliness of being misunderstood and transforming it into a source of strength. The visionary understands that the world may not be ready for their ideas, but that doesn't mean those ideas are any less important. It simply means that the time will come when society will catch up, and the visionary will be ready to lead. The challenge then is not to shy away from this role, but to embrace it fully. It is to accept the loneliness that comes with having a vision and use it as a tool for personal growth. The visionary must learn to see their solitude not as a curse, but as an opportunity to refine their ideas, to deepen their understanding, and to prepare themselves for the moment when their ideas will be embraced by the world. In the next part, we will discuss how to cultivate the courage to live as a visionary, even in the face of adversity. We'll explore how to channel the energy from your loneliness and frustration into something constructive, and how to build a life that reflects your vision for the world. By embracing your role as a visionary, you not only shape the future, you also unlock your true potential as a leader, creator, and innovator. Visionaries are not content to walk the path that others have laid before them. Instead, they create new paths that challenge existing boundaries and offer new opportunities for growth and transformation. This is the power of thinking differently. It allows you to see possibilities where others see limitations, to see potential where others see obstacles. It is this ability to forge new paths, to break free from the constraints of the present, that makes visionaries the architects of the future. The question then becomes, how do you create a new path when the world seems so resistant to change? How do you embrace your vision and bring it to life, despite the isolation, the misunderstandings, and the opposition you may face? The first step is to recognize that creating new paths requires courage to challenge the norms, courage to face rejection, and courage to remain steadfast in your beliefs. Visionaries are often met with resistance because they are proposing something that is unfamiliar, something that disrupts the status quo. But it is precisely this disruption that makes their ideas valuable. Without disruption, without new ways of thinking, there can be no progress. Take the example of Steve Jobs. Jobs was known for his ability to see what others couldn't. He didn't just want to create a better computer. He wanted to create a new way for people to interact with technology. Jobs challenged the established norms of the tech industry and created a brand new path for innovation. His vision was not about improving on what already existed. It was about reimagining what was possible. He faced immense challenges along the way, including rejection from those who didn't understand his vision, but he persisted. The result? The creation of one of the most successful and influential companies in history. But creating new paths isn't just about innovation in business or technology. It applies to every field: art, science, social justice, and beyond. Think of the artists who pushed boundaries, creating new movements that challenged conventional ideas of beauty and expression. Think of the scientists who, like Darwin and Einstein, proposed theories that overturned centuries of established beliefs. These visionaries created paths that led humanity forward, not by improving on what was already there, but by daring to see things differently. To create a new path, you must be willing to take risks. You must be willing to fail, to face rejection, and to confront the discomfort that comes with being different. But it's important to remember that failure is not the end, it is part of the process. Every visionary faces setbacks, doubts, and moments of uncertainty. But these moments are not signs that your vision is wrong. They are signs that you are pushing boundaries and challenging the limits of what is possible. The true power of creating new paths lies in the impact it has on the world. When you dare to think differently, when you challenge the assumptions that hold society back, you create the conditions for progress. Your ideas, your vision, can inspire others to think differently as well, creating a ripple effect that leads to larger societal changes. In the next part, we will discuss how to channel your vision and the courage to create into meaningful action. We'll explore how to turn your ideas into reality, how to build resilience in the face of setbacks, and how to use your unique perspective to inspire others. Creating new paths is not an easy journey, but it is a journey worth taking, and it is one that has the potential to change the world. As we journey through the complexities of being too smart for society, it becomes clear that the very differences that set you apart are not just obstacles to overcome, they are your greatest assets. Your intelligence, sensitivity, and vision are gifts that can transform the world, but only if you choose to embrace them fully. The struggle to fit in, to conform to society's expectations, is not a fight worth winning. The true challenge lies in accepting yourself for who you are, in all your complexity, and using that acceptance as the foundation for creating meaningful change. Embracing your difference means not just accepting the way your mind works, but celebrating it. It means recognizing that your ability to think differently, to see connections others miss, and to feel more deeply is not a flaw. It is what makes you unique. It is what makes you capable of contributing something new to the world. The people who shape society, the ones who change the course of history, are not the ones who fit in with the crowd. They are the ones who dare to stand apart, to think beyond what is currently possible, and to act on that vision, no matter how difficult it may be. But embracing your difference is not always easy. It requires courage, the courage to face rejection, the courage to endure isolation, and the courage to continue moving forward, even when it feels like no one else understands you. It means resisting the pressure to conform, to shrink yourself in order to fit into a world that doesn't quite know what to do with you. And it means having the strength to stand firm in your beliefs and ideas, even when they are uncomfortable or inconvenient for others. This is where your true power lies, in your ability to be unapologetically yourself. When you stop trying to conform, when you stop trying to fit into a world that isn't designed for you, you unlock your full potential. You free yourself from the constraints of societal expectations, and you begin to live a life that is aligned with your own vision and purpose. The world needs people like you, people who think differently, who challenge the norms, and who have the courage to create something new. You may feel isolated now, but it is through this isolation that your greatest strengths are forged. Your difference is not a curse, but a call to leadership. It is a call to use your intelligence and sensitivity to lead, to inspire, and to create change. In the next part, we will explore how to transform this sense of difference into actionable impact. We will look at how to channel your intelligence and vision into concrete goals, how to protect your energy and mental well-being, and how to build a life that reflects your unique purpose. The world may not always understand you, but it needs you more than it realizes. and the path to making your mark on the world begins with embracing the difference that makes you who you are. As we near the end of this journey, a profound truth emerges. Being too smart for society is not a curse, it is your greatest gift. For so long, you may have felt isolated, misunderstood, and disconnected from the world around you. You may have wondered why your ideas, your thoughts, and your emotions often seem to set you apart from others. But the reality is that your difference is not something to be hidden, nor is it something to be ashamed of. It is your calling, your power, and your strength. In the grand narrative of human history, the most significant advancements have not come from those who fit in, but from those who dared to be different. From the great philosophers to the groundbreaking scientists, from the revolutionary artists to the social changemakers, it is the outliers, the ones who think differently, the ones who see beyond the surface, who have driven progress and change. Your intelligence and sensitivity, which may have felt like burdens at times, are the very qualities that make you capable of seeing the world in new ways. They are what allow you to identify problems that others cannot see, and to propose solutions that others have not yet imagined. Your difference is what sets you apart, but it is also what makes you essential. The ultimate revelation is this: your difference is not an obstacle to overcome, it is the path forward. It is the key to unlocking your full potential, to creating the life you desire, and to making a meaningful impact on the world around you. The struggles you have faced, the loneliness, the frustration, the misunderstandings are not signs of weakness, but signs of your strength. They are the marks of someone who is ahead of their time, someone whose vision has the power to shape the future. Think of all the great minds who were once seen as too radical, too unconventional, or too out there to be understood. Galileo, Einstein, Marie Curie, Nikola Tesla. Of these individuals faced tremendous opposition in their time. They were misunderstood, rejected, and often isolated. Yet, in the end, their ideas transformed the world. They did not conform to society's expectations. Instead, they embraced their difference and used it to create something extraordinary. This is the final truth you must accept. Your difference is not a flaw, it is a gift. It is a gift that allows you to see the world through a unique lens, to offer new insights, and to create the kind of change that the world desperately needs. The time for you to step into your full potential is now. In the next part, we will discuss how to channel this understanding into meaningful action. We will explore how to protect your energy, how to take care of your emotional and mental health, and how to begin living a life that aligns with your unique purpose. It's time to stop shrinking, to stop pretending to be someone you're not, and to fully embrace the power of your difference. As you begin to fully embrace your difference and the power that comes with it, one of the most important things to remember is that your life is not just about the struggles you face, it is about the legacy you leave behind. The impact you make, the ideas you contribute, and the changes you bring to the world are what will define you in the end. Your journey is not just about surviving the weight of your intelligence or emotional sensitivity, it is about using those very qualities to create something lasting, something meaningful. The truth is, history is shaped by those who dared to be different. Think about the legacy of figures like Leonardo da Vinci, whose notebooks are still studied centuries after his death, or Martin Luther King Jr., whose vision of equality continues to inspire movements around the world. These individuals did not conform to the expectations of their time. They did not shy away from the struggles of being misunderstood or isolated. Instead, they used those challenges to fuel their drive to change the world. And because of their courage, their ideas continue to resonate with us today. Your difference, your intelligence, your emotional sensitivity, and your unique perspective holds the potential to create a legacy of your own. It's easy to focus on the immediate struggles, the loneliness, the frustration, the sense of disconnection. But what if you shifted your focus to the long-term impact of your journey? What if you looked at your struggles as the foundation for something greater, something that will outlast your own lifetime? Legacy is not always about fame or recognition, it's about the lasting influence you have on others. It's about the ideas you inspire, the movements you help to shape, and the changes you initiate in the world. Even if you never receive widespread recognition, the impact you have on the lives of those around you, the people you mentor, the communities you influence, the ideas you plant in the minds of others, creates a ripple effect that lasts far beyond your immediate sphere. Think about the philosophers, the artists, the scientists, and the activists who were misunderstood or rejected in their time, only to have their work become the cornerstone of future progress. Your legacy can be the same. The key is to keep moving forward, even when the world doesn't understand you. Keep creating, keep thinking, and keep challenging the status quo, knowing that, in time, your contributions will be recognized as essential to human progress. In the next part, we will discuss how to take your difference, your vision, and your unique abilities and turn them into actionable steps. We'll look at how to protect your energy, how to connect with like-minded individuals, and how to build a life that aligns with your deepest values. The work you do today, no matter how small it may seem, is the foundation for the legacy you will leave behind. As you reflect on your journey, it's important to acknowledge that being too smart for society is not a burden to bear silently. It's a call to personal growth. This experience, with all its challenges, is not just about surviving, but about evolving into the person you were meant to be. It is a journey of self-discovery and empowerment, one that shapes your understanding of yourself, your purpose, and your place in the world. Personal growth doesn't happen overnight. It is a continuous process of self-reflection, self-acceptance, and action. Embracing your differences, the very things that set you apart from others, requires a shift in perspective. It means recognizing that your unique mind, your sensitivity, and your ability to think deeply are not flaws to be fixed, but strengths to be nurtured. Consider the growth that comes from embracing your intellectual and emotional sensitivity. The more you allow yourself to be who you truly are without fear of judgment or rejection, the more you cultivate the resilience and self-assurance that will carry you through the toughest moments. The process of growth requires you to become comfortable with your own difference, to stop apologizing for who you are, and to see your sensitivity not as a vulnerability, but as the key to unlocking your full potential. This growth also involves a deepening awareness of your role in the world. As you grow, you begin to see more clearly how your unique qualities can be used to create meaningful impact. The very qualities that have set you apart, your intelligence, your creativity, your emotional depth, are the same qualities that can lead to profound change. But first, you must embrace them fully, without hesitation. Personal growth is also about learning to protect your energy. When you are highly sensitive and intellectually curious, it can be draining to interact with environments or people that don't appreciate or understand your unique perspective. Learning to set boundaries, to step away from draining situations, and to protect your mental and emotional well-being is essential. This protection is not about shutting yourself off from the world, but about ensuring that you have the space and energy to continue growing, creating, and making an impact. As you continue to grow, you will inevitably face challenges, moments of doubt, frustration, and loneliness. But it is through these challenges that you will find your greatest strength. The struggles you face now are the seeds of your future resilience and wisdom. By embracing these challenges, rather than running from them, you develop the capacity to lead, to inspire, and to create the kind of change you want to see in the world. In the next part, we will explore practical ways to channel your personal growth into action. We'll look at how to apply your intelligence, creativity, and sensitivity to real-world challenges, and how to use your unique perspective to create meaningful connections with others. By embracing your growth, you not only unlock your own potential, you unlock the potential to transform the world around you. As we arrive at the final part of this journey, it's essential to recognize that the real task is not to try to fit into society, but to redefine your relationship with it. Society will always have its rules, its expectations, and its norms, but these do not have to define who you are or what you can achieve. You were never meant to fit into a world that does not value your depth, your intelligence, and your sensitivity. Instead, you have the power to create a new way of engaging with the world, one that honors your difference and uses it to bring about change. The first step in redefining your relationship with society is to accept that your intelligence and uniqueness are not flaws, but essential parts of who you are. They are gifts that allow you to see beyond the surface, to challenge the status quo, and to envision a future that is not yet possible. The struggle of being misunderstood, isolated, or rejected by society is not a permanent condition. It is simply the price of being a visionary in a world that often resists change. By accepting your place as an outsider, you can begin to see it as an advantage, not a limitation. The world may not always understand you, but that does not mean your thoughts and ideas are any less valuable. In fact, the very reason society doesn't understand you is likely because you are ahead of your time, seeing things that others are not yet ready to see. Your difference is the bridge between the present and the future. It is the key to unlocking new possibilities, new solutions, and new ways of thinking that society desperately needs. This new relationship with society doesn't require you to isolate yourself completely or withdraw from the world. Instead, it calls for you to engage with society on your own terms, to create a space where your unique abilities can thrive. It means finding like-minded individuals, communities, and environments that nurture your growth and respect your vision. You don't have to change the world all at once. You simply need to find your place within it, your role in shaping its future. In this new relationship with society, your purpose becomes clear: to use your intelligence, your vision, and your sensitivity to lead, to create, and to inspire. You are not simply here to exist within the systems that have been built before you. You are here to challenge, to question, and to transform those systems. Your difference is not an obstacle, it is the tool with which you will create change. The most significant contribution you can make is to live authentically, to fully embrace who you are, and to use that authenticity to inspire others to do the same. When you stop trying to fit in, when you stop pretending to be someone you're not, you unlock your true potential. You free yourself to become the leader, the creator, and the visionary you were always meant to be. In the final part, we will explore how to move from understanding and acceptance into purposeful action. We'll look at how to step into your role as a leader, how to turn your insights into real-world impact, and how to build a future that reflects your deepest values. Your journey is not just about personal growth, it is about creating a legacy, a movement, and a world that values the very difference you bring. As we close this chapter, it's important to reflect on the journey you've undertaken. The path of being too smart for society isn't one of defeat, but of empowerment. It's not a path of solitude, but of self-discovery and leadership. It is through your unique perspective that you have the opportunity to transform both yourself and the world around you. The difference you've felt all this time, whether in your intellect, your emotional sensitivity, or your vision for a better world, is not something to be hidden or silenced. It is something to be celebrated and embraced. The struggles of feeling misunderstood, isolated, or disconnected were never meant to break you. They were meant to shape you, to refine you into the visionary and leader you are destined to become. The world needs individuals like you, people who see beyond the surface, who question the unquestionable, and who refuse to settle for the world as it is. You are not just living for yourself, you are living for a purpose greater than you. You are living to create change, to inspire others, and to lead with your unique gifts. In this final moment, ask yourself, how will you use your intelligence to illuminate the path for others? How will you embrace your difference, not as a burden, but as the powerful force for transformation that it truly is? The answer lies in your actions. It lies in your willingness to embrace your authenticity and to live boldly, without apology. The journey of being too smart for society is not one of alienation, it is one of leadership, innovation, and creation. It is the beginning of a new way of being, a new way of thinking, and a new way of living that will inspire others to join you on this journey of transformation. So, as you step into this new phase of your life, remember that your intelligence, your depth, and your sensitivity are not just gifts, they are your mission. The world may not always understand you, but it needs you more than it realizes. Your unique perspective is the key to building a future that is more thoughtful, more compassionate, and more innovative. And finally, as you continue on your journey, take with you the knowledge that being too smart for society is not a curse, but a responsibility. The responsibility to lead, to inspire, and to create. The responsibility to be the change the world is waiting for. The responsibility to use your difference as the beacon that lights the way for others. This is just the beginning of your journey, the beginning of a legacy that will live on long after you have made your mark.